Thank you for joining us. My name is Connor Lokar. I'm senior forecaster and a speaker here at ITR. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how is the sausage made? And recently, I was able to sit down with our leadership team and have a behind-the-scenes look at not just the how, but why ITR Economics has spent the better part of 7 decades working with businesses just like yours. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here for our leadership roundtable. We're going to start off, and I guess today I want to talk about forecast accuracy. Obviously, it's core to everything that we do here at ITR. We live it, breathe it every day. It's core to our values. It's core to our success as a firm for how long it's been around. I know in my experiences on the road, I mean, that's what starts the conversation with people that have not seen ITR before, because economists can be a dirty word for a lot of people, and I think fairly a lot of the time. And I think as a differentiator for ITR, it's our forecast accuracy. And Grace, in your role, you've been instrumental in this tracking and auditing process for ITR. So could you tell us a little bit as far as how your role impacts that and how that's changed over the years?
Yeah, I think for me it's about building trust with our clients, being able to come to the presentation, come into our discussion with them as a consulting client and say, this is what we've been able to accomplish. Even under tremendous adversity at times. I think that's something I'm really proud of in my role. I think the two things that we've done as a team, and especially with Eric and you, I think training has been a huge aspect of that. Our methodology is totally proprietary. We're the only ones that forecast this way, and that's why our results are different than everyone else's as well.
Yeah, I think that's really fundamental to what we do. And I think, I don't know if our clients necessarily, I don't know if you get a lot of questions about that on the road, Connor, but I think that there's a lot behind the scenes that we do that maybe doesn't make it out to the public domain. I mean, we really, from the first time that someone walks into the ITR, we're focusing on their building block methodology. But then we have training programs where you might work with a mentor for 6 months, a year, 2 years, working through the forecasting process.
The data vetting process that we go through with all of our new clients too, right? It's not just the training, but from the very beginning, any new data set that you guys are going to work with before signing any contracts, you review to make sure we can guarantee that level of accuracy. So from the very beginning to the very end and out on the road, it's always transparent.
The second thing I was going to say is the database of indicators that we have. So it's not just that proprietary methodology of how to look at the data itself, but also how does it fit into the overall economy. And when you can have macroeconomic forecasting that has solid accuracy, that easily translates to market forecasts, easily translates to company forecasts, because you're building it on a solid foundation.
Yeah, I was thinking too, it's changed since I've been here for 2015. I know all three of you have been here longer than me, but you know, that process of vetting the clients and what data goes into the database, it's evolved over time, and we're always looking to kind of be adding to that so we have, you know, better accuracy as time goes on. Yeah,
and I think that's goes to another of our core values in terms of commitment to excellence. I think that willingness to say no to some data it's certainly hard, because obviously we always want to meet the needs of our clients or maybe things that we wish internally we had a forecast for, but understanding that there's certain levels of volatility or certain lengths of data history that's insufficient for our methodology in terms of building out that precedent and feeling confident that we will walk away from, you know, certain opportunities to forecast if we feel that we can't maintain that level of accuracy. And as far as that accuracy, and Grace, you're instrumental in the auditing process of that accuracy to make sure that it, you know, it's a figure we can stand by and one that we can share. You know, what does that look like, you know, internally for you?
So when we're talking about, especially with our client interactions for consulting, explaining to them how we got to that forecast accuracy, or why we can't calculate a forecast accuracy, as you know, in some cases, the client changes their data. We want to make sure that we're giving them as clear information as possible about how we did with that forecast. But if the data changes, it sometimes makes it a tricky situation, and it's more of a conversation in those cases. What did we get right in the underlying fundamentals? What are the assumptions that are still holding? And what are the assumptions that aren't holding? And obviously our forecast accuracy needs to be quantitative. It's something that we really strive for. We publish those figures, as you said. But sometimes there's also a qualitative aspect to it too. Not just if the data has changed, why? Not just we got it wrong or we got it right, but why did we get it right? What were the good assumptions that we made, or why did we get it wrong? What were the bad assumptions?
Grace, that actually makes me think of, in the reports itself, putting in the risks.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Here are the risks to the forecast, right?
Yeah.
So we state that we're going to be accurate about it, but then we also say, but here are some of the opportunities that may make it so that way you perform better than this forecast, or here are some of the negative risks. And I think that's something you don't see often out in the marketplace. And looking at a lot of our competitors and the reports that they put out there, it is just the numbers. It's not those qualitative assumptions that you were just talking about. I think that's another feature of how we're very transparent and why we can be so bold as to post our forecast accuracy. I think it was, that one customer that said we have the audacity to publish our accuracy, right? But it's true, right?
Yeah.
But it's true because here's the approach we took, here's how we put things together, and then here's what we recommend you do with this information.
I like to think of it sometimes as, if something goes wrong, what would it be, right? If something does not go according to the way that we said, what are the most likely things that would go differently? And that's what we are supplying there. Yeah, I agree with you, Kim. I think it makes it different. It makes it more actionable. So it's not even just about the number of the accuracy. It's also about that story to say, what are the things that are risk factors here that could mean that you have to make a different business decision, and letting you in on that early so that you can make the decisions.
Exactly. And it all goes back to that trust.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That you were saying in the very beginning, building that trust. It's just another great way that we can do that. And Connor, I was actually thinking when you were talking before that when we do say no to a data set, that goes back to building that trust, right? Because people often don't hear a no. They think I'm talking to a salesperson, like a car salesperson, and they're just trying to sell me something. And that's not the case. We are all here just to help these business leaders in their decision-making process.
Yeah, and I think that goes to, that trust process. Our forecast accuracy, obviously it's a differentiator for ITR. It's something that we wear quite proudly, but it also, it opens those conversations. It allows us to get naked with our clients, and we certainly own our makes. We like to really tout when we really nail something, but we also own our misses, and we've had our share over the years. And in not just the risks box in some of our consulting programs, but also cataloging our forecast performance at the end of all of those reports. So we can just show we're not going to try to sneak a forecast revision by you. We're not going to try to wave a wand and get you to forget forecasts that changed over the years. We like to catalog those historically and also identify why did we change those forecasts. That's something, Eric, you and I always talk about. We constantly ping each other for, can we have a sanity chat? Just a quick sanity conversation when we're going through a forecast to really drive that thought process in terms of, can we, looking at why did we miss last time, and then how can we stop ourselves from missing again, at least for the same reasons.
And then communicating that to the clients too. It's not just internal, then it makes it into the report.
I think back to when you were saying some of the misses, right, and how we handle those. Again, is another differentiator.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Brian that's done webinars where the marketing team will promote to the marketplace, our entire audience, not just subscribers, hey, we have an update to a forecast. Come join us, because we want them to know what that update is. We don't want them to be using outdated information and making decisions on that. We'll send out subscriber bulletins and post them online and do blogs and things along those lines just to get it out there.
Right.
That way they always have that most up-to-date information.
Forecast accuracy, it's core to who we are at ITR. It has been for decades. It's endured for decades. The economy changes. The folks within ITR changes, and now we're really heading into that next era of ITR. And Jackie, in your position leading the economic side of the building, how do you envision protecting that forecast accuracy as we move into this next phase of ITR?
Well, for one, I don't let Joe forecast. That was a very hard, fast rule we made. But it actually plays into the reality of it, is we're very particular about who we bring onto the team and how we train the forecasting and who we let forecast. It's very proprietary information, so we're very careful about it. We maintain this high accuracy rating because we have really strong trainers teaching the next generation and the next group and class behind them. And then those teachers are also proofing the forecast too, to ensure that forecast accuracy stays. And as much as this is going to sound a little odd, is we're the harshest critics on ourselves. As you know, as one of our top forecasters, is we might get a 96.7% accurate on a forecast, but we're like, oh man, but I wish it was 99.2 or something like that. We always want it to be the best it could be. So by hiring that sort of person who wants the best that they can achieve, not for them, just for themselves, but for their clients too, that's how we maintain it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, being your own self-critic, I think is a really important aspect of that, where obviously our stated accuracy is 94.7%, but there's oftentimes that we'll beat that on a forecast, but we feel like we could have done better. And we may not let Joe forecast, but Joe's actually been instrumental from a technological standpoint in terms of enhancing and really modernizing the tools that we're using across the team. Obviously the methodology stays the same, but kind of enhancing particularly some of the efficiency aspects of that. Wouldn't you say, Joe?
I do. I think what's also really important is that all of us keep it front of mind. We're always talking about our accuracy here. We're making sure it's part of our culture who we are, and that's on whether you're on the econ side, the economics, if you're in the sales, marketing, technology, HR. It doesn't matter who we are. We're all concerned about that. We know that that's what our clients expect from us and what we want to continue to deliver to our clients. And on the technology side, everything we do, it goes back to that very simple question. Are we delivering the best product we can? Are we giving them the forecast accuracy? Are we delivering it in the way that they want it? Are we giving it to the tools, to those that are doing the forecasting? But we're always checking against that forecast.
For sure. And obviously when there are tools, there has to be people to wield those tools. And Jackie, you're obviously in all these interviews. What do you look for in these new folks? Because in my time, I've been with ITR almost 8 years, and we've doubled, more than that from a headcount standpoint. And we have a lot of great people. We have more people by the year. So what do you look for in that hiring process with accuracy in mind?
We're looking for people who want to know, who really have this thirst for knowledge, who always want to understand what's going on, but also who are able to admit when they're wrong, that they don't have a problem with it. Because as you know, we get a forecast wrong, we get something wrong, we're always challenging our own assumptions. Every forecast is born to die, but also every forecast I do, you're going to challenge me. And I'm very happy that you do, because I trust your brain and I want to know that we're going to do it better and better. So we need a team that's ready to be collaborative, that is okay to admit that they're wrong, but also confident enough that they can challenge those. Critical thinking is a huge part of what we do.
Within that, I think the ability to obviously admit when we get a forecast wrong, that humbleness, if you will, to obviously own a miss, but also being hungry is also really important to really try to understand why. Why did we miss? What underlying assumption or assumptions were we wrong about in that forecasting process, and then really trying to apply that in our next forecast. And that can be really tough. That's always been tough for me in terms of kind of self-scouting and trying to poke holes in myself and really wear some of those defeats and then try to learn from them. When we think about our accuracy, obviously we want to, it's critically important to us, but Jackie, why do you think that's so important to us? Why do we think it's so important to our clients that we maintain that measure and standard of excellence from an accuracy standpoint?
Sure. Well, would you trust us if we got it wrong all the time?
Probably not.
No. So, it's important for that reason alone. But it's important for so many other reasons, but that's the basic underlying principles. We want something you can trust. We want something that you can count on time and time again, that you can make your decisions on. If you're planning for where the future is going to go, you have to have a reliable map to get you there. It's like if you're driving anywhere, you need to know where it's going.
Forecast accuracy is core to everything we do here at ITR. My almost 8 years with ITR, it was a focal point from day one. But I'm curious, both Jackie and Kim, from your perspective, being at the company a lot longer than Matt and I, has it always been a focus for us?
I have a doc in my office I came across. It's from, I want to say, 25, 30 years ago or something, where we were publishing our forecast accuracy from ITR, and this was before either of us were working here, obviously, comparing us to other institutions, banks, governments, and their forecast accuracy. So yeah, we've been proudly presenting ours for many decades at this point.
It's important so everyone trusts us, right? It's not just so that way we can boast what we do and we do so well, but it's to build that trust.
I think for me, when I started, the idea of sharing your forecast accuracy, not just tracking it, but then also sharing it with your clients, it was a novel concept to me, because it's just, before I started with this, it just you never really saw that before. You know, it was just kind of you forecast, make a call, and then you move on and on to the next one. I'm curious, Matt, if that was your impression coming on board at ITR several years ago, just how different that was, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely unique coming into an economic firm where they were as transparent and as forthcoming with both their success and failures, right? To Kim's point, it's all about building trust, right? That was one of the things I know I was quizzed on. What is our forecast accuracy? And the 94.7% on average is something I know we strive for. We do better in a lot of cases. Some cases, other areas not so well, but we are always transparent with that. And to me, that just speaks to the integrity of ITR.
And Matt and Kim, from a sales standpoint, when we have new clients, new folks that are interested in ITR, maybe they've seen a speaker on the road, or how quickly does accuracy come into the conversation?
A lot of people hear from other organizations they work with, from people they know. They hear about ITR. Maybe they've seen us speak right on the road, and we demonstrate our forecast accuracy. So a lot of organizations come to us initially for forecast accuracy. And by all means, it's something we strive to deliver the highest we can. While it's still outstanding, it maybe falls to second place in what's most important to these organizations, right? Having a real business mind behind that is kind of what trumps after time.
Can I flip it on Connor?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're one of our top speakers. You're speaking all over the place. How quickly does our forecast accuracy come into your presentations?
It generally right off the jump. I think particularly there's some groups that have seen ITR for decades, years and years and years, and so they need less of that reminder. But for folks that haven't seen ITR before, I mean, it's such an important lead off for us because it's seeing an economist. They see him at different functions. They see him on TV, and they see him in the government. They see him in academic roles, and I think what differentiates ITR as business economists is our accuracy, and that's what hooks them. Why, whether I have 60 minutes or 90 minutes on stage, what keeps them locked in with me is that accuracy right up front, off the bat. They immediately lock in and know, okay, these guys have something important to say, and they're generally very good at what they do. And I think that's a really key aspect, particularly for those new to ITR. Those that have seen us over the years, they love to see it, they love that we share it, but they come to appreciate us for our unbiased perspective, for our just being able to speak as business-minded economists. But I think the newer that you are, that's a really important aspect.
Well, I'm thinking about the forecast accuracy, something that you ingrained in my brain, Jackie, when I first started. It's not just the number, but it's the duration, right? How long that forecast is in place. And so that's something that I know I've done a lot of looking into our competitors and how quickly they change their forecast, right? Every month, one is up, and then the next month it's down, and then the next month it's up, and the next month it's down. And so here at ITR, giving that stake in the ground that the clients can plan for and know that it's going to be that accurate that far into the future. I think that plays into it too.
Well, and even the next step from that is something Alan taught me is if you're off, what's the story? There's always a reason why we're off, and presenting it clearly and documenting it so that everyone remembers 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now, what happened to that forecast is so important, because there are times we'll forecast out their business and then we're off with the forecast and we talk to them and it's because, well, they had an acquisition. So of course we're off with the forecast when they add in a whole nother business unit or something. There's so many things that come into play, but just clearly writing that all down so that we remember this for later. It's the story, not just the duration. It's all the pieces.
And I'd say on the duration piece, because obviously our forecast will change over time, and obviously if we forecast something 3 months before the end of the year, how the end of the year squares up, it's going to look really good. But we like to be that anchor, and just in our report card, our forecast accuracy, that main chart that we share on the road, it's, okay, if you saw us on January 1st of a given year and you just didn't see us again for an entire year, how did we do? How accurate was our forecast? Was it reliable enough that if you're making decisions based on that at the start of a calendar year to guide your business through that year, is it accurate enough? And that's the standard that we want to hold ourselves to. So of course, if we revise a forecast halfway through the year, 3/4 through the year, it's going to be a little bit better, but in the off chance that you don't check in with us between now and then, we want to make sure that we can give you enough to more effectively run your business. And I think we do a really good job with that. This team was purpose-built to take ITR into the future. We hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look into ITR economics, and we look forward to our next episode. So from all of us at ITR, thank you for partnering with us.